In this video, my great-uncle, Fred Dorado, talks about JFK and 9/11. This is his story. And when were you born and where?
uh, June 8, 1940, in the Philippines.
So, what people, events, technologies, etc. have most impacted you and or the United States in your lifetime?
Well, personally, for us, when we migrated to the U.S., it was just after John F. Kennedy was assassinated. Before he was assassinated, he was trying to get the immigration to the U.S. by all countries to be equal, instead of most of the immigrants approved to come to the U.S. were from Europe and South America, and Asia was very meager. And after he died, the Senate, actually, the Congress passed the law that would equalize the immigration. So Europe, South America, Asia would be equal in numbers for approved immigrants to the U.S. So when we came to the U.S. as tourists, it was very easy for us to convert it to permanent residence because of that law. And so it took us only just really probably less than 6 months to become immigrants. And without that, we would have waited probably 10 years. So that is a major impact to us personally and to the country as a whole, because now the United States is made up of all kinds of nationalities, not just mostly Europeans, as it happened. The Irish before were most welcome here, and then the British and so on. And now Filipinos, Chinese, Vietnamese, and so on, they have equal opportunities to come here too. So that's, to me, that's a major impact.
So, where did you first enter the United States?
Well, we came in actually from through Seattle, and then we went to Chicago. And from Chicago, um, we were just on vacation here, and we realized that my wife was pregnant. So we had to do something. So I started to work. And at that time, with an immigrant, with a tourist visa, you were allowed to work, as opposed to now, you have to be an immigrant. You have to have a permanent visa in order to work, or a working visa. So when we started working, my wife and I, after the baby was born, we started working, and then we moved all over the country. We started in Illinois, then because of corporate moves, we went to Phoenix. Then from Phoenix, we went to Omaha. From Omaha to New Jersey, and finally California. So that was quite a trip for us. And meanwhile, the kids were growing up, and I guess they got used to moving from school to school.
What do you think, out of all those places, is this your favorite place so far?
Oh, California for sure. That was our main aim, main goal. When we got to Phoenix, we said, oh, we're now close to California. And then because of corporate moves, we went to Omaha. And then the company that I was working for was bought by a company in New Jersey. So we went to New Jersey. And then finally, we went to California when I opened up my business here. And we stayed. We've been here since 1980. So 1980 to 2012, that's a long time in the Bay Area. So,
I was 20 years or so, 30 years now.
yeah.
You've been here. So, what do you think has changed the most about the Bay Area?
I think the there are more Asians here now than when we first arrived, and that's because of that immigration law. So more and more Asians had come in here, especially from the Far East, because the first port of call is California. So probably half of them just stayed. And because of the earthquakes, some of them left for the Midwest and the East Coast.
The act my great uncle was referring to was the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, also known as the Hart-Celler Act, which abolished the national origins quota system that was the American immigration policy since the 1920s, replacing it with a preference system that focused on immigrant skills and family relationships with citizens or U.S. residents. In this picture, Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965 at a ceremony on Liberty Island, New York, October 3rd, 1965. The architects of the 1965 law did not see it as a means of significantly changing the immigration flow. Instead, it was considered more of a symbolic act. Today, immigration has a big impact on our country. Per the 2000 census, roughly 11.1% of Americans were foreign-born, a major increase from the low of 4.7% in 1970. A third of the foreign-born were from Latin America, and a fourth from Asia. Aside from JFK and immigration, are there any other topics that you can think about?
Well, 9/11 is a major one for me. The day that 9/11 happened, we were scheduled to move to fly to Dallas, and so our flight was at like 8 in the morning, which is 11 o'clock in the East Coast. So my wife's brother called us, and he said, "I don't think you're going to fly today." I said, "Why?" "Well, turn on your TV." And then we turned on the TV, and it's incredible. It was like watching a movie. We saw the two airplanes hit the Twin Towers, and it was eerie. And the thing is, normally we have three airports here, and normally you see all the planes coming in, every few minutes and so on. But that day, no airplane was flying because they grounded all the airplanes. And
so it was a traumatic day, you would say?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was sad, and it's just unbelievable watching the television news. Yes.
Do you think it was more traumatic than JFK then?
Oh, I think so. Because with JFK, he was president, and he was assassinated. So that was traumatic to people. But 9/11 was just so bad that all of a sudden we realized that we are not, we are vulnerable to terrorism. This is the very first time that we've actually, experienced terrorism of this magnitude. So.
I know you travel a lot, so after 9/11, I'm sure the security was really...
Oh my gosh!
How was that?
That's when they started to have really strict security. Take off your shoes. You can't bring more than 3 ounces of liquid in the plane. You can't bring any knives or even these Swiss knives, and we even had the experience of the airline gave us this kit, for sewing kit, and when we tried to go through the security, they took away the needles because they said, "Hey, it's it's silly, but that's what happened." Yeah, some needles about an inch long, they could let it go.
So they used to let them do that?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was so free before.
Like how free before?
You can take bottled waters and any kind of makeups you want, and Swiss knives like that. They don't even bother with that.
They didn't care about Swiss Army knives.
Yeah, when I was traveling from Frankfurt, and I bought my wife a set of these knives, the Henkels. I hand carried that on the airplane, and that was okay. This was before 9/11. Now, of course, you couldn't do that anymore. So that changed dramatically.
After 9/11, security at airports changed a lot. 2 months after the attacks, Congress federalized airport security by passing the Aviation and Transportation Security Act, which created the Transportation Security Administration, or TSA. There were stricter guidelines on passenger and luggage screening. Only ticketed passengers could go through security. As new threats were discovered after 9/11, new procedures were introduced, including removing shoes and banning liquids. After a number of extensive explosives testing, the TSA has declared that liquids, aerosols, and gels in small quantities are safe to bring on flights. Fortified cockpit doors were introduced, and first-class cabin curtains were dropped by some airlines. Pilots can now apply to become a federal flight deck officer, allowing them to carry a loaded gun and act as a federal officer aboard a plane. TSA officers now speak with every passenger passing through the security checkpoint, asking each passenger 2 or 3 questions, such as, "Where are you traveling today?" or "How long have you been in town?" The purpose of this is to detect suspicious behavior. 9/11 made us realize how we are not invincible to acts of terrorism, but it is an ongoing challenge to balance national security and protecting civil liberty. What advice, if you have any, do you have for the next generation of Americans like me for the next chapter of American history?
Well, I think what we need here is education. Right now, we're lagging behind the world actually in education, especially math and engineering. So we're still number one in high tech, but especially here in California, the education system here is so bad. I mean, our kids grew up, they were born in the Midwest and grew up there, and the school system there is so much superior than California. It's really bad here. So, well, we got to improve California, and they're cutting on the education here. So, I don't know what will happen.
What do you think has changed, like, in the education since back then and now?
Money. There's just not enough funding. Really, now that I'm semi-retired, we travel a lot now, and I guess our advice to the young people is save money, because when you retire, you can't depend on your Social Security anymore. It's just not enough with inflation the way it's going. By the time you retire, gasoline will probably be $10 a gallon, and your retirement is Medicare is not going to take care of you at all. It's in fact, I don't know how long Medicare is going to live, because it's they claim that in 10 years we may not have enough money anymore for the seniors.
Okay, if you don't have anything else to say, I guess that's it.
I guess that's it. It's time to have a drink.